All right, everybody, how's it going? It is Monday, September 5th, 2022. And of course, we just finished with the preseason. So now we are officially at the start of the NFL regular season. I know it's been a while. It feels really good to be here. So that's always good. We're back with the regular pick'em videos. And usually we'll be uploading these on Tuesdays. But since it's the start of the regular season, there's no Monday Night Football. We might as well just upload it right now and get it out of the way. So hopefully you enjoy. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. All that YouTube stuff, it helps the video out. It's free to do. It's quick. Thank you very much if you do that, and we'll get right away with the video. So now we got week one. I think it jumps right in. We'll go over my last year record, but I think it was like 178-91 or 173-91-1. So that's pretty good. Hopefully we do good this week. A lot of these games, we're going to go with like favorites, or it's going to seem like we picked a lot of favorites. It's just kind of like a gut feeling who's a better team right now. There's a few upset picks I went with, and then all that fun stuff. But right now it's kind of like until like week 2, maybe week 3, we kind of don't really know what the teams are going to actually look like. You can use the preseason somewhat, but it's better to kind of go off last season, what players they added in, and kind of like what you think you might see during like off-season moves, and just a plethora of things that go into it. Plus, like, you can use the lines to kind of figure out what like the experts are thinking. So consider that going forward as well. All the lines that I do have on here are from FanDuel.com. You can use it as well. Just if you do gamble, make sure you do so responsibly and don't overdo it. All that good fun stuff. And yeah, so that's all the stuff to get out of the way. Let's jump right into the actual fun part of the video, which is, week 1 of the NFL Pick'em. Thursday Night Football to start it off. This will be a doozy. It's 8:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This could be a Super Bowl preview because these are two of the teams that a lot of people have as like Super Bowl contenders, is maybe people have them in the Super Bowl. It is the Buffalo Bills and the defending champion Los Angeles Rams. Obviously, neither team's won a game. The Bills are favored by 2.5 with an over-under of 52.5. So in this game, I'm kind of looking at certain aspects. I think these two, obviously, a 38-35 game. I see these two teams as very equal offensively, and I think this could be a mini shootout, especially if the offenses don't really wake up slow or there's no real offensive lag, which from these two teams, I'm not really expecting that, considering Stafford, Allen, the teams that they have, Cooper Kupp, Allen Robinson, Diggs, and then you have McKenzie or Gabe Davis, and the Rams have a little bit better of a running game. But one of the things I'm thinking of, why I have the Rams favored in this game and why I'm picking the Rams to win despite the Bills being favored, is the fact that, the Rams are at home, so I kind of like that home field advantage for the Rams. They're going to have that home field like, oh shit, we just won the Super Bowl excitement. The fans are going to be super hyped. It's going to be a pretty, loud and live atmosphere for the Bills. I'm sure they'll be able to handle it, but, that'll help out with the Rams a little bit. Plus, if this was like week 6, I would probably be going with Buffalo, but the major reason I'm picking the Rams is without Trey White in this game, I do wonder how the Bills are going to be able to stack up and cover the Los Angeles Rams with Allen Robinson and Cooper Kupp and just a plethora of other really good players that they have. I wonder how the Bills handle that, and I think that's why the Rams get this slight edge from me in this game. It's 38-35 type game, so again, if they had Trey White, I would probably be leaning Buffalo, but right now I'm leaning on the Rams because I wonder if the lack of Trey White creates a coverage problem. Again, this is a very equal game, and I could see why people would pick Buffalo, but I think Cooper Kupp and Allen Robinson really complicate this game for Buffalo. Plus, Stafford's kind of a beast. All right, 1 o'clock football. We got some games to go through. This game doesn't really have much to go over. We're still kind of applying the you don't pick Atlanta rule, because around here, we don't pick the Falcons. They've burned us one too many times, so we always just say, hey, it's better to take an Atlanta loss than, pick Atlanta and look stupid. So we got we got New Orleans playing Atlanta. Saints are 5.5 point favorites with an over-under of 42.5. I got the Saints winning, and I know we haven't really, seen much of Jameis Winston and company, but again, they're just a way better team. Atlanta seems like they're a little bit better put together. I don't think they're going to have the choke artist gene that they've had in years past, especially since they finally excised all the old demons from the team. So while I do think Atlanta will be better than they were last year, but again, it's like you're playing against a team that, when they had Jameis Winston, they were, really hard to beat. And then even without Jameis, they were in a lot of the games. It's just, they couldn't compete really offensively. So I expect New Orleans to look pretty good on offense. I expect their defense to be able to contain Marcus Mariota quite well. And, maybe Mariota loses so bad that the backup guy, Ritter, gets to start playing sooner. But again, maybe if Ritter was playing, I might go with the Falcons, but I can't really pick that otherwise. This is a game with a lot of intrigue, and I'm glad that it's week 1. It's the Cleveland Browns taking on Baker Mayfield and the Carolina Panthers. A little bit of a revenge game going on here. It's in Carolina as well. Panthers are 2.5-point favorites with an over-under of 41.5. So it'll be Jacoby Brissett, not Deshaun Watson quite yet, versus Baker Mayfield. And due to that, I kind of like the Panthers to win this game and kind of like an upset. But again, seeing as the Panthers are favored, it's probably because, again, they're the home team. We're not really sure what the Cleveland Browns and Jacoby Brissett are going to look like. And one of the things with the Panthers that is kind of wildly overlooked is last year, did you know they had like the 3rd or 4th best defense in terms of yards allowed? So again, when you look at something like that, you're like, well, how are they losing a lot of games last year? Oh, it was specifically really bad quarterback play that was making them lose. Otherwise, they could have probably won a lot more games than they wound up winning. So now that they have an actual quarterback who, when healthy, has played very well in Baker Mayfield, Baker's healthy. They have really good receivers in Moore and Robbie Anderson. They've got Christian McCaffrey healthy right now. Their defense is healthy right now. Right now, they have an improved offensive line. There's a lot of things where if you look at the Panthers right now, they should be able to actually steal this game from the Browns due to the fact that we don't really know what the Browns are going to look like. Again, very, very good Browns team defensively, which is why I have it 20-16. But again, I very much question how Jacoby Brissett's going to respond to a very underrated Carolina Panthers defensive team. Again, if this was week 12, this wouldn't even be a discussion. So give me the Panthers in this one, 20-16. All right, this one, there's not much to add to this game. The San Francisco 49ers take on the Chicago Bears. Trey Lance's starting debut. 49ers are favored by 6.5 with an over-under of 41.5. Again, I don't really have much to add to this game. Maybe the Bears can go out there and keep it close, but again, with the way the 49ers defense usually is, with how good they are could be on offense, and with the way that the Bears are just kind of, they have like a taped together football team with like parts of other teams that were cut and like random guys, and I don't really know what the offensive line is going to look like, what the total plan on offense is going to be. I really don't I don't really know if their defense is as good as it looks. I know they had a good preseason, which is why I'm keeping them close in this game, but maybe the Bears can go out there and prove a lot of people wrong in this game. But until we actually see that from the Bears, what I'm seeing on paper isn't exactly the prettiest thing ever. And that's not to be disrespectful. I think Fields is good. It's just like, man, he doesn't got much to work with. Here's another game that should be pretty fun to watch. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are 6.5-point favorites with an over-under of 44.5. As long as Burrow and company are good, this should be a pretty easy game for them to win. They're at home. They're facing a Steelers team that really doesn't have their quarterback set yet. They don't really have their new identity. They're a team kind of in flux and rebuild, whereas the Bengals literally have a really good and improved offensive line. They didn't really lose anybody. They got a new tight end, and it's just like they've added so many new pieces to this Bengals team to improve any of the holes that they had last year. I could see the Steelers having quite the struggle in this game. I see them keeping it close because they always play the Bengals well. It's a AFC North rivalry game, so there's always that kind of like added into it. But again, as long as the Bengals don't stumble out of the gate and like the Steelers really just don't have an identity, so it's hard to pick them to win. Again, and I don't really, Mitchell Trubisky, and they just got like a hilarious plethora of quarterbacks right now, and I think Paquette should have been named the starter, and I think they'll find that out after this game, but blah, blah, blah. Give me the Bengals. They're just a better team right now. This game sucked because I wanted to pick the Lions, and I had the Lions winning until I actually started making this video. And I really hope I don't regret this. The Eagles take on the Detroit Lions in Detroit. The Eagles are 3.5-point favorites with an over-under of 48.5. Man, I really wish I would have kept this as an upset. But again, I kind of look at the Eagles, and I look at like what they've done to build up that team in the offseason, and I go, oh man, they're really, really good now. A.J. Brown, they've got Devonta Smith, they've got Jalen Hurts, who is it's like this with the Eagles, right? They are such a talented, stacked roster that if Jalen Hurts is actually a good quarterback in the league, they will win the NFC East by like 3 games. They're that good. They got like Gardner Johnson on defense recently added with Darius Slay. That's like a shutdown secondary now. Their defensive front's always good. One of the better offensive lines in football. Like Miles Sanders should be healthy enough. Like, it's one of them things where you look at the Eagles and you go, whoa, dude, they actually have talent from top to bottom on that roster. And while I look at the Lions and go, yeah, that's a much improved team. They have a much better offense. They have a much Their defense is a year older with a few more new pieces added in, and the coaching's a little bit more experienced. Everything's a little bit better for Detroit, but again, this is a team last year the Lions could not do anything against. While I think they'll be able to compete a little bit better here with the Eagles, especially since they're at home and all that, I just see the Eagles as just a way better roster. They're just there's just something weird about the way that team looks. Again, if Jalen Hurts is a bad quarterback and that gets exposed, Eagles are in for a long season. But again, if he's good, oh boy, they're going to be really, really tough to deal with the entirety of the regular season. So give me the Eagles 31-28, mainly because I just think that their defense will make a stop in what could be a pretty offensive game. Let's go to the next slate of 1 p.m. games. Indianapolis Colts take on the Houston Texans. Colts are 8.5-point favorites with an over-under of 45.5. I have this game as it's going to be close because the Colts and Texans always play each other in this weirdly close manner. But again, I don't know if I really have a lot to add into this game right now, seeing as the Texans do look much improved and they had a decent little season considering everything going on. And I do think they'll be one of the more improved teams this season compared to what they were last year. But I think running into the Colts right away is probably the worst thing because this is when the Colts are at their healthiest and they're going to want to show off Matt Ryan, their new receivers. They're going to want to show off their running game with Taylor and Himes. Their defense is much improved. It's you're getting a fully healthy Colts team. That's the worst thing you could get because one of the few things that actually does and has historically ever stopped a really good built roster like the Colts have right now is a random injury. And I don't think they have any of that right now. And that's tough on the Texans running into the Colts right now. Maybe if it was, again, it's just they're going to want to come out and break neck. And I don't know if Houston can deal with that defensively. Offensively, I think they'll be able to stay in the game, which is 24 points I gave them. But I don't know if they can stop them defensively enough. So give me the Colts over the Texans. This is my one of my upset picks. There's no bias in this one. I completely think... it's not that I couldn't pick Miami, and it's not that, I'm just a Patriots fan who can't pick the Dolphins to win. I have my reasonings. The Patriots over the Dolphins, or the Patriots play the Dolphins. Miami is 2.5-point favorites with an over-under of 46.5. And I get that Miami will probably win this game. I'm fully confident in, we might start pretty slow in New England this year, like last season. But one of the things I'm thinking of, and this is why I think we'll be able to win this game. 2 reasons. Number one, they don't have Byron Jones. And I think that actually adds a complication to a team that might have a very sneaky secondary or a sneaky passing attack this season. So watch out for that with the Patriots versus the Dolphins, how the Dolphins defense handles not having a top corner on both sides of the ball, and see how the Patriots decide to exploit that. Also, I think one of the reasons the Dolphins have been doing so well against the Patriots the last couple seasons was specifically due to having Brian Flores and him being such a long-term coordinator and disciple of Belichick. He understood every single thing about the Patriots system in terms of offense, defense, special teams. Whereas now you don't have that in Miami, and maybe there's going to be a slight gap in understanding what the Patriots are doing. You've seen this in years past when Matt Patricia was able to destroy the Patriots when he was on the Lions. Josh McDaniels does very well against it's just all of even Bill O'Brien did fairly well against New England. Didn't really win all the time, but he did well. The guys who coach under Belichick seem to be able to play him very well. Now, we'll see if that continues here for the Dolphins. But again, they're kind of an upset pick, whatever. I get it. The Patriots probably won't win. We're probably going to start pretty slow. But, I can dream, can't I? Here's a game that probably won't be very fun. The Baltimore Ravens take on Mike White or Joe Flacco of the New York Jets. So that's kind of cool. Flacco taking on his own team, maybe. Ravens are 6.5-point favorites with an over-under of 44.5. I think the Jets will be able to stay in the game, but again, I think one of the biggest issues with the Jets is the injury to Zach Wilson, who, again, I don't know how much better he is than everybody they got, but again, if Zach Wilson's playing, maybe I lean toward the Jets. Probably not, though, because again, the Ravens are going to be healthy. I'm wondering how Bateman and Duvernay are going to look with Mark Andrews, so that's a much improved passing attack. So... I'm just very curious to see how the Ravens look. And the Jets are still in the prove it phase. You made a lot of good additions. Now let's see how you actually utilize those additions. And, you don't have your starting quarterback. Who gives a shit? This is my other upset pick. I got the Jaguars beating the Commanders 21-17. I think that the Jaguars defense will just overwhelm a very, very mediocre Commanders offensive line. All right, 425 games. Again, I don't really have much to add to that game. I'm not going to go over a bad game. Like this one, like what am I going to say here? The New York Giants take on the Tennessee Titans. See, some games I can go a little long on because I can skip around like this. Titans are 5.5-point favorites with an over-under of 43.5. Until the Giants start playing their backup and get rid of Daniel Jones, as much as I like to the Giants' offense is going to be pretty bad, and the Titans' defense is going to be good. They're healthy right now. Derrick Henry's healthy. They've got they added in Robert Woods, who I think is going to have quite the season with them. So give me the Titans. It seems like an easy pick. Here's what might be like a very good game, and here's another game I'm going to go against the grain on this one. I have the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Arizona Cardinals in Arizona. Chiefs are 3.5-point favorites with an over-under of 53.5. Now, if you've heard me talk, you know that I think the Chiefs will still win the AFC West this season. But again, I think they're going to start slow like they have in the last 2 seasons. It seems like they kind of start slow and then pick up speed and get going, versus a team like Arizona who comes out of the gate like monsters. Like they literally just come out of the gate for the last 3 seasons, like 10-0, unstoppable. You can't really stop them. They seem like Super Bowl favorites. So you're running into two teams that start the season almost fundamentally different. And that's part of the reason why I'm leaning on the Cardinals to win this game. At home, they seem to start a little bit hotter than the Chiefs do. Chiefs seem to kind of kick the dust off and get going about week 3 or week 4. So yeah, give me the Cardinals. Plus, I don't really know how the Chiefs' offense is going to look post Tyreek Hill. There might be a little bit of awkwardness or a little bit of lagging going on with their offense. So keep that in mind versus the Cardinals team. Yeah, they won't have Nuke, but they still got basically everybody else. So yeah, well, again, my main thing is the Chiefs seem to start a little slower and the Cardinals seem to start like a cannon, like a freshly shot cannon. So give me the Cardinals in a really close, fun game. Here's another really close, fun game. The Las Vegas Raiders take on the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers are 3.5-point favorites with an over-under of 52.5. Here's another game where I kind of went. I feel like the only reason the Chargers are this favored is because they're home, and this is more of a neutral kind of line. One of the things I wonder is these feel like very equal teams that are going to be fighting all season long for relevancy in the division, status in the division, all those kinds of things. There's 2 reasons right now where I'm leaning on the Raiders, whereas maybe later in the season I might pick the Chargers. Number 1, I think there's a slight coaching advantage, though McDaniels is a newer coach and Staley isn't. McDaniels has done very well against the Chargers in the past. Now, you may be going, well, what does that mean? In the past, as offensive coordinator, he barely ever loses to the Chargers, and his offenses usually do very well against the Chargers. So we kind of have McDaniels sort of knowing how to play that team and knowing the pieces and knowing how to play against them with a much better put together offense than what the Patriots have had in years past. So that's kind of like a number 1 thing. So we have a Raiders team led by a guy who can put up points against this Chargers defense with a much more talented offense. You got that to consider. Now, you also have to consider, I think, the fact that I think J.C. Jackson will not play in this game due to ankle surgery. He might, or he might not. It might be next week he's back, but he was out 4 weeks because he had a surgery on his ankle to relieve some discomfort. So I don't know if he's playing, and if he doesn't, again, that's a big thing. I with Devontae Adams there now and Darren Waller, that's tough to cover. So give me the Raiders in a really close, fun game. Green Bay Packers take on the Minnesota Vikings, more fun division rivalry. We've got, let's see, the Packers are favored by 2.5 with an over-under of 48.5. Don't worry, we've only got Sunday and Monday left. We're cruising through these games. Green Bay Packers. I actually have the Packers winning. Let me take a quick drink of water. I'm talking fast. All right, much better. All right, so with the Packers and Vikings, always a good game. It seems like when the Packers are healthy and willing and ready to go, they seem to always kind of be able to beat the Vikings. Rodgers plays them very well. He seems to have kind of this disdain for them. While the Vikings will play them very well, and I think they'll be very competitive in this game, they seem to just shrink against Aaron Rodgers, like Kirk Cousins. It's just, I don't know what happens. Maybe the fact that they don't have Devontae and the receiving core is a little worse this year for the Packers, that Minnesota could steal it. But again, I kind of, again, I go with what my gut says in these kind of games, and you can really only go with like past experiences and things of that nature. All right, Sunday Night Football. Tampa Bay Buccaneers take on the Dallas Cowboys. It's the Bucs are favored by 1.5 with an over/under of 50.5. I'm going with the Bucs in this one, mainly because Tom Brady has like a disdain for the Dallas Cowboys. He says he likes to play them very hard and he loves to beat them. So this is an important win for him. Plus, I like to look at the Bucs defensive front, very still very stout, very talented, especially the defensive linebacking core. So they'll be able to get a lot of good pressure on Dak, whose offensive line is very questionable right now. We don't really know with all the departures and injuries what it's actually going to look like. Yeah, I don't know. I like the Bucs to win this game. Should be pretty close. Should be pretty fun to watch. I could see both offenses actually putting up quite a few points. But again, Brady, prime time. It seems like it's just one of them things where it's like, yeah, this just feels like a Bucs win. Maybe Dallas could get the upset. Maybe. Would I be shocked? Not really. I don't even think it'd be that much of an upset. But I like the Bucs. I just think they're a better team right now. I am worried about the Bucs line though, a little bit. Monday Night Football, pretty obvious game. The Denver Broncos take on Seattle Seahawks. It's going to be Russell Wilson's first game in Seattle. Maybe the Broncos start a little slow, and that's maybe how Seattle stays in this game a little bit. But until we actually see what Seattle and Geno Smith can do, it's going to be really hard to pick them in a game. The Broncos are almost favored by a touchdown. So that's pretty dramatic with a 42.5 point spread. So they're expected to do a lot of the lifting in this game, it looks like. So give me the Broncos. Should be a pretty straightforward win for them. Yeah. All right. Overall, last year I was right. I went 173, 98, and 1. Good for 64, just under 64%. So yeah, that's my week 1 picks. Yeah, hopefully those are pretty solid. Hopefully you enjoyed those picks. I think they're pretty good this season. Hopefully we have a good week 1 and we don't get 3 games right, but I think we have about 10 or 11 right there. What do you think? Let me know your picks down below. I'll be sure to get back to you as soon as I possibly can. And like I said earlier, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, helps the video, yada, 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 all that YouTube stuff. So yeah, thank you so much for listening all the way through if you did. Are you excited for the season? Let me know. Who do you think will win just whatever you got to say. The season's here. We're just 4 days away, depending on if you count today. Yeah, NFL's back, baby. Let's go. No more Sundays without football till February. Isn't that crazy? All right. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great rest of your day, night, morning, afternoon, midday, mid-evening, whenever you decide to listen to this. So just give it a listen. Have a good one. All right. Thank you so much. Have a great, like I just said, go Lions, go Tigers. And of course, it's always go Patriots. Man, I missed football. Let's go.